The sky above the Lysari outpost was filled with soft blue light. Strange birds flew through the mist, and the wind carried the scent of crystal flowers. Lucas Miller stood near the edge of a platform looking out at the alien forest. It was peaceful here, unlike the space stations he was used to. But he wasn't here for peace. He was here to fix a power relay for the Lysari, a proud alien race known for their silence and strength. Lucas had only been on the planet for 2 days, and already he had seen things that amazed him. The Lysari buildings rose like silver towers from the trees. Everything shimmered. But the people were harder to understand. They rarely spoke, and when they did, it was cold and sharp. Except for one. Her name was Kalira. She was tall, strong, and wore bright silver armor that covered her from head to toe. Her skin was pale blue and her eyes were like deep water. Lucas first saw her when she arrived to inspect his work. She walked with confidence, her voice low and direct. "You are the human engineer," she said. "That's me. Lucas Miller," he answered with a small smile. She did not return the smile. She watched him work without a word, standing still like a statue. At first, Lucas felt nervous. He didn't know if she was judging his work or just didn't trust him. He tried to make conversation, but she only gave short replies. Later that day, Lucas went to the main control room to test the new power flow. As he checked the numbers, the ground shook beneath him. The lights flickered. Alarms sounded. He ran outside and saw a burning Lysari ship crashing into the forest. Without thinking, he rushed toward the crash. He saw Kalira pinned under a large metal beam. Her armor was damaged, and she was struggling to move. "Hold on," he said, trying to lift the beam. It was too heavy. He looked around, found a support rod, and used it as a lever. With all his strength, he shifted the beam enough for her to crawl out. Her arm was hurt, and her face had a cut, but she stood tall. "Why did you help me?" she asked. "Because you needed help," he said simply. Kalira looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded and walked away without another word. That night, Lucas sat outside the outpost, looking up at the stars. He thought about Earth, his family, and why he had joined the Alliance. He wanted to fix things, to make life better, even if it meant working far from home. Footsteps came behind him. He turned and saw Kalira. "You saved me today," she said. "Anyone would have." "No, not anyone." She sat beside him. The silence between them was not cold now. It felt calm. "What do you desire, Lucas Miller?" she asked, suddenly. He blinked. The question felt out of place. He laughed lightly. "You," he said as a joke. Kalira turned her head slowly to look at him. Her face showed no smile, no anger, only stillness. "You joke," she said. Lucas raised his hands. "Sorry, just trying to lighten the mood." She stood up and looked out at the dark forest. "You are different, human. I will remember this." She walked away, leaving him alone again. Lucas sat quietly, wondering what had just happened. Maybe she was angry, or maybe not. The stars above were bright. Somewhere out there, wars still burned and ships still fell. But for a moment, here on this strange world, something had changed. Lucas didn't know what it meant. He only knew that Kalira was not just a soldier. She was something more. And maybe, just maybe, she saw. Lucas woke early the next morning. The sky above the Lysari outpost was soft and cloudy. He walked through the quiet halls, checking systems and running reports. Since the crash the day before, everything felt tense. Soldiers moved faster. Voices were sharp. Something was coming. Kalira was not in her usual place near the command room. Lucas asked another guard where she was. "Training yard," the guard said without looking at him. Lucas walked there and stopped at the edge. Kalira stood alone in the center, moving through a set of sharp, controlled motions. Her armor had been repaired, but there were still marks where the fire had touched it. Her long hair moved as she spun and struck the air with her staff. He watched in silence. She moved like water, like she had no weight. But her strikes were full of power. She finished and stood still. Without turning, she spoke. "Why are you watching me?" Lucas took a step forward. "I was just passing by. You're good." She turned and looked at him. Her eyes were steady. "You are not trained in combat." "No, I fix things. I build things." Kallira walked over to him. Her steps were light, but her presence was heavy. And yet you ran into fire? That is not your job. It wasn't about the job, Lucas said. It was the right thing to do. She tilted her head. You speak like a soldier, but you are not. No, I'm just a person. Later that day, Lucas was called to help with defense systems. He met with 2 Lysar engineers, both quiet and cold. They didn't like working with a human, but they followed the orders from Kallira. The system had errors, and Lucas worked fast. As he fixed the main relay, a message came through. Unknown ships detected, a voice said from the comms. Meyer scouts? Everyone in the room stopped moving. The Meyer were machines built long ago, now out of control. They destroyed everything they saw. Lucas looked at the screen. 3 red dots were coming closer. We have 10 minutes, one Lasari said. Lucas ran to the command post. Kallira stood in front of the table with the map. How many? She asked. 3. Maybe more behind them, Lucas said. She gave orders quickly. Units moved out. The sky turned dark. Lucas went to the main defense wall. Had never been in a real fight before. He checked the power lines, the weapons, and the shield grid. Everything was ready. Still, his hands shook. Meyer arrived without sound. Silver and black floating just above the ground, firing cold beams of light. The Lasari responded with plasma bolts. The air filled with light and heat. One of the Meyer bots flew over the wall. Lucas ducked as it fired. He grabbed a power rod and struck the bot's sensor. It sparked and spun. A Lysari guard shot it down. Lucas stood, breathing hard. He had never been that close to death. The battle lasted 10 minutes. When it ended, smoke filled the forest. 3 Lysari were dead. Many more were hurt. Kallira walked through the field. Her armor was scratched, her eyes cold. Lucas met her near the med tent. You did well, she said. I was scared. It means you are still alive. He gave a tired laugh. That night, Kallira came to find him again. She brought food. They sat near the edge of the forest, under a silver tree. The Meyer will come again, she said. I know many of my people do not trust humans. They think we are too different. Maybe we are, Lucas said. Maybe that's not a bad thing. She was quiet. Then she turned to him. Do you remember what you said yesterday? Lucas smiled. About what I desire? Yes. I was joking, were you? He paused. I don't know. Maybe not. Kallira stood. She looked down at him. Words are easy. Actions speak louder. She walked away again, leaving him with thoughts spinning in his mind. Lucas looked up at the stars. Something was changing, inside her and inside him. And he did. Rain fell over the Lysari outpost. It was cold and silent. Storm covered the land in a soft blue mist. Lucas sat in the control room, checking the repair logs. The system had taken damage in the last attack. He worked for hours trying to make it better. Kallira had not spoken to him since their last talk. She had returned to command duties. Orders had become more strict. Soldiers trained harder. The fear of another Meyer attack was in everyone's eyes. Lucas finished the reports and walked to the training yard. He saw Kallira training with 2 other Lysari warriors. Her strikes were faster now, full of anger. She moved like she had something to prove. After the session, Lucas waited by the gate. She walked past him but stopped. What is it, Lucas? I wanted to talk. If now is not a good time, I can wait. She looked at him for a long second. Speak. You seem different? More... closed off. War does that. Is it just the war, or is it something else? Kallira turned and looked out at the forest. Council sent a message. I have been ordered to lead the final defense if the Meyer return. They believe my connection with a human is a weakness. Lucas looked surprised. Because of me? Yes. That's not fair. It is the way of my people. Emotion is seen as a break in strength. Lucas stayed quiet for a moment. What will you do? I will follow the order, but I must also choose. The wind moved her hair. Her face looked calm, but her voice was not. Held weight. That evening, an alert broke the silence. A Lysari patrol had vanished near the northern ridge. Kallira and a small team were sent to find them. Lucas asked to go to... You are not a soldier, she said, but I can help. I know the terrain. She nodded once. They moved fast through the forest. Lights glowed faintly from the plants. The air was thick. After 2 hours, they reached the last signal point. The ground was scorched. Mire tracks were clear. "We are not alone," one guard said. Sci-fi raised her hand. Everyone froze. The sound of machines came from the trees. Then the attack started. Dasts. Blasts of light shot through the air. The team scattered. Lucas took cover behind a rock. He saw Sci-fi fighting one of the Mire bots alone. She hit it hard, but it was faster than the others. Another bot came from behind. Lucas shouted and ran toward her. He grabbed a fallen weapon and fired. The blast hit the bot's side, giving Sci-fi a chance to strike. They stood back to back, fighting together. For the first time, they moved as one. But then a third bot struck. Sci-fi went down, her leg trapped under a metal piece. Lucas rushed to her, pulled at the metal, ignoring the pain in his arms. "You have to move," he said. "Leave me," she replied. "No, not happening." He kept pulling. Finally, the piece moved. He helped her up, and together they escaped into the forest. They reached a cave where the others were hiding. Sci-fi's leg was bleeding. Lucas used his jacket to stop the blood. She looked at him, tired and silent. "Why?" she asked. "'Cause I care," he said. "Even if it means death." "Yes." The next morning, they returned to the outpost. The council was waiting. Sci-fi was called to speak. She stood tall, but pain showed in her steps. Lucas watched from a distance. He saw the looks from the other Lasari, some with respect, some with hate. That night, Sci-fi came to his quarters. She said nothing for a while. Then she spoke. "They told me to end our connection, to keep my place as commander." Lucas felt his chest tighten. "And what did you say?" She looked into his eyes. "I said I would decide after the final battle." Lucas nodded. "Then we fight. Together." Sci-fi nodded once. Her hand brushed his. It was a small touch, but it said enough. Something strong had started. The sun rose over the hills, casting soft light over the Lasari outpost. It was quiet, but everyone felt the storm coming. The Mire would return. It was only a matter of time. Lucas worked through the night, checking the defense lines. The power grids were steady, but not strong enough for another full attack. He looked over the shield system and rewired parts of it with pieces he had gathered from the crash site days before. Sci-fi was in the command room. She studied maps and sent out new orders. She did not speak much to the others. Her face was still, her voice sharp. Yet her thoughts were not only on battle, they were on choice. Lucas came to her in the late afternoon. She looked tired. "You haven't slept," he said. "Neither have you," she answered. He smiled. "I brought you something." It was a small data chip. He showed her what was on it. A plan to reroute extra energy from the landing pads to the main shield. "It will give us more time if they attack," he said. She looked at the plan, then at him. "Why do you keep helping me?" "Because I believe in you," Lucas said. "Not just as a commander, but as a person." Sci-fi did not speak for a moment, and she reached into a small case and pulled out an old Lasari badge. She placed it on the table. "This belonged to my mother," she said. "She was the first Lasari to speak with humans. She believed peace was possible. The council called her a dreamer." "What happened to her?" "She died in the First War." Lucas nodded slowly. "She was brave, like you." Sci-fi closed the case. "I have always lived by duty, by rules, but now I see there may be more." Suddenly a loud alarm rang through the outpost. Red lights flashed. Sci-fi stood up fast. "They are here," she said. Lucas followed her to the watch deck. Dark shapes moved in the distance. More Mire than before. At least 20 bots coming fast. This would be the final battle. Sci-fi gave orders. Soldiers ran to stations. The shield hummed louder as power moved through the new lines Lucas had built. Sci-fi turned to Lucas. "You should stay in the control room." "No," he said. "I'm staying with you." She nodded once. The Mire attacked with full force. Blasts hit the shield, shaking the ground. The Lasari fought hard, firing from walls and towers. Lucas ran between panels, making sure systems stayed online, led her soldiers from the front. Her armor glowed under the blasts. She moved with power and grace, taking down 3 bots alone. One Mire bot broke through and reached the control hub. Lucas grabbed a tool rod and fought it off with help from 2 guards. His hand bled, but he didn't stop. The shield dropped for 10 seconds. That was enough for 5 Meyerbots to get inside. The battle turned worse. Soldiers fell. Smoke covered the land. Kalira saw one of her young soldiers trapped. She ran to help, but a Meyerbot blocked her path. Before it could strike, Lucas shot it with a weapon he found on the ground. She looked at him. His arm was burned, and he was limping. "I told you I'm not leaving," he said. They fought side by side, pushing the bots back. With a final blast from the tower, the Meyer core unit exploded. The rest shut down. The battle was over. Outpost was damaged. Many were lost. But the people stood together. The air was full of silence and smoke. Kalira stood in front of her people. The council watched. She looked around, then took off her helmet. Her voice was calm. "I will not lead through fear. I choose to lead through hope." She walked to Lucas and took his hand. The council said nothing. That night, the stars were clear again. Lucas sat with Kalira under the same silver tree where they had first talked. "You once asked what I desire," he said. She looked at him. "Now I ask you," he said. "What do you desire, Kalira?" She was quiet, then she answered, "To be free, to be seen, to choose." And in that moment, she was no longer just a soldier. Oh, something more. The war had given. The days after the battle passed slowly. The outpost was quiet. Soldiers walked with bandages and tired eyes. Engineers worked around the clock to fix broken towers and damaged walls. But there was peace. For now, the Meyer were gone. Lucas sat near a garden outside the main hall. He watched the sun rise over the blue hills. Flowers moved gently in the wind. The silence felt different now, not empty, just calm. Kalira joined him. She wore no armor today, just a soft gray robe with a symbol of her people. She walked with a slight limp, but her face looked strong. "How are you feeling?" Lucas asked. "Sore but alive." He smiled. "That's something." She looked at him. "The council has made their decision, and they wanted to remove me from leadership." But the soldiers spoke. "They told the council that I was the reason they survived. They defended my choice." Lucas looked surprised. "So you keep your place? I keep it. But only if I lead under their new guidance. They want less war, more contact with others." "Is that what you want?" She nodded. "Yes, it is time for change." Ceremony was held 2 days later. The Lasari gathered in a large circle around the central flame. The council stood in front. Kalira walked forward. She held her armor in her arms. She placed it at the foot of the flame and stepped back. "This armor has protected me, has given me rank, but now I choose another path, one of peace, not fear." The flame turned blue, a sign of acceptance. The council said no words. They only bowed. After the ceremony, Lucas found her near the edge of the outpost. She was watching the sky. "You really did it," he said. "Not alone," she replied. They walked through the forest together. Trees glowed with soft light, birds sang above them. It felt like a new world. Lucas stopped near a stream. "I have to return to Earth soon," he said. "Command wants a report." Kalira looked at the water. "Will you come back, if you want me to?" "I do," he smiled. "Then I will." Before he left, Kalira gave him something. It was a small silver pendant, shaped like a flame. "This is a mark of the Lasari heart. It's only given to those who change the path of another." Lucas took it and placed it around his neck. He stepped onto the shuttle the next morning. As the ship rose into the sky, he looked down and saw Kalira standing near the landing pad. She raised her hand once. He did the same. Weeks passed. On Earth, Lucas gave his report. The council was shocked by the battle, but more shocked by the peace that followed. Talks began between human leaders and the Lasari. Months later, Lucas returned. This time, not as an engineer, but as an ambassador. Kalira met him at the edge of the landing field. She wore a simple robe and a quiet smile. "Welcome back," she said. "Feels like I never left." They walked together through the new buildings. Children ran through the fields. Human and Lysari students studied maps and machines side by side. The outpost had become something new, a place of learning and hope. One evening, they sat under the stars again. "Do you still believe in what you said before?" she asked. "About what I desire?" "Yes, more than ever." She leaned against him. The wind moved slowly through the trees. "And what do you desire now?" he asked. She was quiet for a long moment. I desire this peace. A life not ruled by duty alone. A future where strength means more than weapons. Lucas nodded. Then let's build that future. Together. And they did. The world did not change overnight. But it began with them. A human who fixed things. And an alien who dared to remove her armor, not just for him, but for herself. And the stars above watched in silence, shining on a new chapter that had only just begun.